Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Hockey TITTH number 199. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. Just going to be me this evening. No co-host tonight. Schedules are getting a little bit funky for us over here at the Hizzy, so we're going to be actually switching hockey to Tuesday nights going forward. So look out for us next Tuesday. I'll be back. My co-host Nick, my brother, will be back, and we'll be continuing to dive into things. I'm going to jump in tonight. Don't think it's going to be too long. It's just, me talking to myself here, you, me, and my picks. Let's jump right into them. So my best prop for NHL action this evening is Ryan Hartman registering at least 3 shots on net. Hartman has hit this number in 8 out of his last 10 games. He's on fire right now. So definitely someone you want to look at for props, DFS, fantasy. He's at the top of my fantasy waiver wire as well. He's recorded, like I said, at least 3 shots in 8 of his last 10 games. But if you're feeling fruity, if you want to bet on some goal props, some NHL goal props, take Ryan Hartman tonight. He's has 4 goals out of his last 5 games, and it's at least like 1 goal a game. So you're not getting like 2 goals in the last game, 3 goals in the first game of that 5-game leg. So definitely someone you want to target in fantasy and in props and DFS as well. Ryan Hartman, at least 3 shots on that. First up, we've got our Monkey Knife Fight props per usual. If you want to jump on Monkey Knife Fight, we got a promo code to the Hizzy. You can use that and sign up, and they'll double your deposit up to at least $50. Also, guys, if you have questions, please try to roll them in here. We'll pop them on the screen, whether it's fantasy, props, gambling, whatever it is. Let me know. We'll get them up on the screen, and we'll talk about it, all right? All right, first up with our props for this evening with Monkey Knife Fight, we've got Juuse Saros and Brandon Holtby in a goaltending matchup here. We got 26.5 saves for both players. I like Juuse Saros to go over the 26.5. He is 4-1 to this number in his last 5 games, and he's been more consistent, overall. Like he's only allowing like about 2 goals a game or so far through that same stretch. He hasn't allowed more than that in that same stretch of games, so he's been playing really well right now. They are coming off a 2-1 loss, so maybe they try to take one back tonight up against Dallas on the road. We'll get to that here in a bit when we go over our picks. But Brandon Holtby, he's also at 26.5 saves, and my trust level is definitely much lower with Brandon Holtby, just given his performance this year, last year with Vancouver, just not the same guy that you can trust without that Washington Capitals jersey on, right? But I do think that he goes over this number because I do expect this game to be low scoring. And I do expect the Predators to get a lot of shots on net, which has been very consistent for them through this last stretch of games, like last 7 to 10 games. They've been getting pucks on net more so than, say, the Dallas Stars, who I think that they'll go over the total to get Saros this prop. But at the same time, they haven't had the same efficiency of scoring, and that's why I like Saros to go over. Holtby, a little bit more questionable to the 26.5, but I think he can get it just off of the volume that the Predators will bring this evening. Next up, we have Kevin Fiala and Shane Gostisbehere, a defensive pairing here on Monkey Knife Fight. Fiala's got a 4.5 fantasy point total. Fiala 4.5 and Shane Gostisbehere at 3.5. So over-unders for both. I'm going to go to the under with Fiala, who hasn't really been providing a lot of offensive production. He's mixing in an assist here and there, but not really getting a lot of pucks on net. He gets 2 or 3 a game. So you're getting like a point to a 1.5 there. Gostisbehere is very similar. He's getting about 3 to 4 shots on net. So you have both guys pretty much starting off at about 1.5 to 2 points. Are they going to be able to fill in the void of the rest of the production here? I'm going to say no for Fiala. I'm going to say under 4.5 for Kevin Fiala. Again, just hasn't been very consistent. The Wild have been very good. He gets some power play time, but not a lot. The minutes are a little bit lower. And Shane Gostisbehere, I'm going to go to the over. He's coming off a big game. He had 3 assists in his last performance, but he's also had assists pretty consistently prior to that. So he's been hitting his marks. I like Gostisbehere to go over 3.5, but he will need an assist. He's going to have to get on the board or on the stat sheet one way or the other. So if you don't buy either of these guys doing exactly that, then I would take the under for both. But I do think that Gostisbehere, keeps that streak going, does grab it at least an assist or a goal this evening. All right, let's jump into our game previews here. Again, we're going to be moving not right along here with just me on tonight. So we've only got 3 games. First up, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs traveling to the Philadelphia Flyers, coming in as road favorites. Kind of surprising to me, actually. Maple Leafs coming off a tough loss at home to the Kings, 5-1, but they are favorites tonight. So minus 127 on the money line. Of course, getting the minus 1.5 on the puck line, and the over is set at 6 goals even. Don't like that even. Would really, really prefer that 6.5. I like the under 6, but it's not a number that I love this evening. You see the names on both rosters. You obviously know that both teams can score, but are they scoring? Toronto, 27th in the NHL right now in total scoring. Not very good. That's not what you expect out of the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? We also could be missing John Tavares tonight. I'll try to grab a quick update that as I run through the rest of these numbers. You know, the Flyers getting that plus 1.5, the plus 115 also at home. Let me see if I can get an update on Tavares. He's been a day-to-day game time decision since this morning. Yeah, still no clarity there. Still up in the air if he's going to be in the lineup. But I don't love that over, like I said. Both teams trending to the under. Toronto 5-8 and Philly 4-6. So neither have a winning record to the total. Now in the game itself, I like the Flyers here. I like them to cover the plus 1.5. I also like them to outright win. I do like them at the plus 116 on the money line. I think that they can pull this one out. Philly 4-3 in their last 7. Toronto 5-2. But like I said, they could be missing Tavares. They're playing on the road, which they haven't done as well. Philly, they've only lost 1 game in regulation at home so far, so I like them a lot tonight. And they've been a very profitable team so far for me to start this year. They will be missing Ryan Ellis on the back end on defense, which is a little concerning, but doesn't do enough for me to move the needle to the Maple Leafs, playing on a back-to-back, playing on the road, maybe missing Tavares. I really like the Flyers here. Hammer down the plus 1.5. That's the safe money, in my opinion. A little bit more risky to take the plus 116, but I like it. I would have no problems taking it. Next up, we've got the Nashville Predators traveling to Dallas, coming in as road dogs, plus 1.5 on the spread, plus 129 in the money line. And the over-under for this game is at 5.5 goals. We'll start with the total, 5.5. I really, really like the under here again. Dallas is just a team that trends to the under in general. Right now, both teams have a losing record to the over, 4-8 for Nashville, 3-8 for Dallas. That combines for 7-16 so far on the season. You have Nashville that is scoring 25th total scoring in the league, 29th for Dallas. So neither team is scoring a lot. Like I mentioned earlier, the Predators are getting a lot of shots on net, but not with the highest efficiency rate. Obviously, they're 25th in the league in scoring, right? Nashville, 5-2 in their last 7. Dallas, 2-5 in their last 7. Definitely trending down right now. Nashville, 6-5-1 on the year. So obviously, they're making their run right now. Coming off a loss to our Chicago Blackhawks, no big deal. Hawks 2-0 in their last 2. Can't hate on that with the start that we've had this year, right? But I think the Predators are going to be looking to bounce back tonight. A couple days rest, playing on the road in Dallas. Dallas doesn't do a ton for me. Brandon Holtby doesn't excite me a lot. So I like the Predators this evening. A very similar situation to the Flyers. I love the plus 1.5, but I don't hate the plus 129. I think they will outright win tonight. But my money's going to be on the plus 1.5, keeping it safe, keeping it clean. All right, next up, we've got the Minnesota Wild coming in as road favorites in Arizona, going to the desert to visit the Coyotes, who are just 1-10-1 this season. Minnesota Wild, minus 211 on the money line. You can't hate that for going up against a team that's 1-10-1 right now. So I absolutely love that value at the minus 211. I do not want to touch the minus 1.5. I do not believe that the Wild will win by 2. And if they do, the numbers just aren't in their favor. They're 2-9 ATS this season. So when they are getting that minus 1.5, they are not blowing away their opponents. So I will take the Coyotes to cover the plus 1.5. Don't feel great about it. Wouldn't be putting a ton of shekels on that tab. But I do love the Wild in this one easily at the minus 211 on the money line. The total in this game is at 5.5 goals. That's a little bit trickier. You have Minnesota, who's 7th in the league in total scoring, on fire right now, putting pucks in the net, burying them. But you got Arizona, who's like dead stinking last, 32nd. What are we doing there? I don't know. So I don't really love the total in that game at 5.5. My instincts say that it's going to go to the over, like a 4-3 win or a 5-3, maybe late cover on that spread for the Wild, maybe like that 4-3 game. That's a little bit tighter than it should be. But there's some separation at the end, maybe the empty net goal, whatever it is. So give me the Wild there. I'm going to take them on the money line. I have them parlayed with the Predators at plus 1.5 and parlayed with the Flyers at plus 1.5 as well. That's my clean parlay for the night. Wild minus 211, Nashville plus 1.5, Flyers plus 1.5. Keeping it simple, keeping it clean, like I said. All right, trucking along. We are moving to our fantasy waiver wire. Again, guys, I got Twitter up here. I got all the chats up. If you want to throw anything in, starter sit questions, season-long questions, props, bets, whatever it is, I'm here. Let's get into it. All right, first up, we've got fantasy waiver wire. We got Ryan Hartman. Like I mentioned, he's going to be first up. Guy's on fire. In his last 5 games here, 17.6, 15.4, 3.8, had kind of an off night, but had some shots on net. 13.5, 4.7, 2.9, 2.7, 14.7. The guy's just scoring a lot. In his last 5 games, 4 goals. 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. A lot of opportunity here. And like I mentioned about my best prop for tonight, having him go at least 3 shots on net, 8 and 2 to that. So his last 5 or 6 games here, 4, 6, 2, 5, 3, 1, 3, 3, 3, 5, 3. Like ton of opportunity with Ryan Hartman. Only 27% rostered on Yahoo platforms. Go out and get this guy. Very easy pickup. Less than 50% owned. Should be available. And maybe you don't keep him on your roster for long. Maybe he does go into a bit of a low streak, but I like him to keep it going. They need that offense. They're playing very well. He's playing well right now, getting that penalty killing time, power play time. A lot of opportunity for Ryan Hartman. Go sign up for him right now. Next up, we got Jonathan Quick from the LA Kings. Very good performance recently. 3 wins in a row, 3 out of his last 3, 33 saves, 22 saves. He's got some breaks in his playing time. They've got Cal Peterson there still. So played in the last game, had the game off before that, played in 2 and then 1. So it's pretty much going like 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 for Jonathan Quick's schedule. Should be riding along in the next game here for the Montreal matchup, or I'm sorry, the Ottawa matchup. They played Montreal, yesterday, and he did not play. But prior to this streak, he was still doing well. He wasn't getting the wins, but he's getting the saves and not really allowing a lot of goals. At most, 3 allowed per game. But that's also because the Kings started off so poorly. They lost their first 6, and then they've won their last 6. So they're playing very well right now. You have to their last 7, because he didn't play last night. So they're playing very well right now, surging, if you will, after a very poor start. I like him to keep this going. Only 22% rostered on Yahoo formats. You may find it troubling, if you're doing like daily rosters, daily waivers, to keep him on your roster. If you're, kind of deep at goalie, you may have other options ahead of him, but this is a guy that I would hang on to. You get one injury from Cal Peterson and bang, this guy's going to have a lot of playing time, going to be in the net more consistently. I like him a lot. Would love to see him get moved. I talk about this like almost every other episode or every other 4th episode about, Jonathan Quick needing a new home. There's plenty of teams out there that could use a goalie like him. Edmonton Oilers, maybe pick up the phone. I don't know. All right, moving on. Next up, we've got Alex Iafallo, probably the hottest player right now in fantasy hockey, and he's only 50% rostered on Yahoo platforms. Listen to this: 15.2, 15.8, 8.8, 11.5, 12.4, 22.7, 9.6. That's like his last, 7, 8 games? The guy's on a ridiculous run right now, and he has to be owned. You just have to get him on your roster. Like I just mentioned, the LA Kings on a surge right now, 7 wins in a row, and he's being heavily involved in that offense. He had 8 shots on goal in his last game. 8 shots on goal. If you're getting a half point, you're at 4. If you're getting a point, you're at 8. Like, that's amazing production in fantasy. Not out of this world goal scoring. His last, going through his last set of games here, a goal, 2 assists, a goal, an assist, a goal, 2 goals, 1 assist, an assist, no production, zeros. He had a random. That was back when they were losing. He lost to the Blues 3-0. Finished as a minus 1, 8.5, minus 0.10, 5.7. Like, he's been a part of their scoring and their production the entire way through, winning or losing. And when they're winning, he is booming. Like I said, in my league, he's the top scorer right now across the past 2 weeks. So he is definitely someone that you want to get on your fantasy roster. Like, I'm talking yesterday. I don't care if they're playing tonight or not playing tonight. Go get him on there. He needs to be owned. 50% rostered, just too irresponsible. 15% in the last day. People are starting to figure it out, but it's going to be a little bit too late if you don't hurry up and get there soon. All right, next up, we got some players that are just surging right now. So players that you can either look to leverage for DFS, maybe for props, or just buy high or sell. If you want to sell high or buy high, whatever. If you want to go after a guy that's playing really well, you may have to give up a lot for him, but you might be hurting at a specific position. So let's get into it. First up, Alex Petrangelo. He's a top 5 player in fantasy period right now, and he's the best defenseman across the past couple of weeks. So his last 3 games, he has at least 1 assist. He has 3 goals in his last 4 games, and he's getting a ton of shots on net. He's getting a ton of blocks. There's a lot of opportunity for this guy. If I have him, if I own him in fantasy, he may be someone that I look to sell off to maybe upgrade, for some offense. I've lost Kucherov. I drafted Crosby kind of on a whim, thinking like, he's going to be back. I'm going to get some good value for him. Still hurt in COVID, right? So if you're in a situation like that, maybe you do sell off Alex Petrangelo. You get a nice little haul with maybe one or two, surging offensive players. I wouldn't hate trading for our Alex Iafallo, who I just mentioned, for maybe a package with another player for Alex Petrangelo. Props, whether it's shots on net, 3, 3, 2, 7, 2, and 3. That's something to look out for. Just registering a point on the night. That's something to look out for in your props as well. DFS, I don't imagine he costs, at the top tier of defensemen, but he's definitely someone that you want to look at, going forward, at least for this next week. You're looking at matchups up against Minnesota, Vancouver, Carolina. At least three or four of those are good matchups. Minnesota, Vancouver, and Detroit. Carolina a little bit tougher, but they're also playing all of those games at home. So there's some good opportunity here from Petrangelo, whether, like I said, you want to leverage him on some buy or sell action, take some props, plug him into DFS, whatever it is, use him to better your position, whether it's in fantasy or with your sports book. All right, next up, another Vegas Golden Knight. We've got Jonathan Marchessault coming off a 2-assist game, scoring in bunches here. Didn't score a goal in his last game, but prior to that, he had 4 goals across 3 games. So his point totals, you're looking at 12.8, 10.5, 7.8, 21.7, 0.7, 9.8, 12.7. Like, there is a ton of production going back here, about 8 games or so. So definitely grab Jonathan Marchessault if you can, whether you're going out and you're buying low on him. He's not a guy that I feel like you'd have to spend a lot to get him returned to your roster. Maybe it's, a Petrangelo for Marchessault and Iafallo or something like that. It wouldn't be that crazy because, fantasy hockey owners, they know that they can get some of that production back from the fantasy waiver wire. You're going to be able to get those trendy players, right? So, giving up like 1 player for 2 isn't like the craziest thing, or vice versa, right? So I would definitely look to grab Jonathan Marchessault. Again, DFS, props, whatever it is, if you're trying to buy or sell low. Next up, we've got Troy Terry of the Anaheim Ducks. He's 65% rostered. I mean, that's not necessarily going to be not available on waiver wires. He could be, but the likelihood is probably not there. That rate went up about 10% across the last day. So maybe there's an opportunity to grab Terry off your waiver wire, but probably slim to none. But definitely someone that I look to buy right now. Whether it's DFS, props, fantasy, you're looking at his last, goals. 1 goal, 0, 2, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Like, the guy is on fire right now. Not racking up a lot of assists, but he has got the scoring touch. Like I said, 65% rostered on Yahoo platform. So probably a guy that you're not going to be able to go and scoop up, but somebody that, you might be able to buy from another team that just doesn't have a lot of interest in owning Anaheim Ducks. I have another Anaheim Duck coming up on my list here. They've been a very sneaky team so far, playing very gritty hockey, and they're getting some, production from some, I'm not going to say no names, but some unsung heroes, we'll say, like Troy Terry here. Like I said, 65% rostered, probably unlikely you're going to be able to grab him in waivers, but someone you want to target for shots on goal, someone that you want to target for points, just on a game, over the half point per game prop, stuff like that. And definitely someone you want to get in your DFS lineups, because I know that he's not going to cost at that top tier mark as some of these players, the Bergerons, the Marchands, let's just name some Boston players. I don't know, Patrick Kane's, the top players in the league, like Troy Terry, you're definitely going to be able to get him at some value. So definitely look out for his name coming up. Maybe tomorrow they're playing Seattle on the road. I think that's a very good spot for him. I would definitely take the over half a point prop. I would take at least 3 shots on net, and I would use him at whatever DFS rate he's offering. Next guy, Seth Jones. Let's go, Seth Jones. Actually doing something positive for a change. And so right with the Blackhawks, recent couple of wins, right? Coming off a 3-2 win, a 2-1 win. Not bad production. He had a goal in his last game. He had 4 straight assists in games prior to that. So he's starting to come along here. Of course, he's going to be absolutely owned by everyone and their mother in fantasy. But the start of the season was very negative for his numbers, right? You look at his numbers to start the year. That's just the Blackhawks in general. If they're getting scored on that much, obviously the guy that's on their first defensive pairing line, he's going to take some hits on his production, on his stats, and et cetera, right? But the Blackhawks, we got kind of a sore eye right now. People are, they're talking down on us. They're really bad. They've got all this outside noise. Well, you know what? We got rid of Bowman. We got rid of Colleton. The king is in the house. He will rule you. I don't know where I was going with that. Derek King, new head coach. Players seem to be really responding to him, coming off a couple of wins in his first 2 appearances as HC. So some positive things to look at going forward. Seth Jones, though, he's like top 10 in the league in shots on goal. So if you get him anywhere at 3 shots per game, hammer it down. 5, 4, 0, 3, 2, 4, 4, 5, 1, 3, and 6 in his about last 10 games or so. So there's some opportunity there for him. That's a number that he is consistently hitting, is over the 3 shots on three shots on net. Plays on the power play, special teams, all of it, right? So someone you want to go out and buy in fantasy. I don't think the cost is going to be that high. You may think it's high just because of the name, but I don't think it's going to be. I think you can buy low on him. All right, next up we got Adam Henrique of the Anaheim Ducks. Scoring isn't there, and it never really has been, but the man's doing a little bit of everything else. He's got the faceoffs, he's got the shots on goal, he's got the blocks. This guy had 7 shots on goal in his last game. He is not a guy that gets over 5 consistently, but it's been happening. 7, 2, 5, 1, 5, 4, 5, 3, and 4 across his last 8 games or so here. The guy's been looking good, and he's been one of the top producers in fantasy across the past couple of weeks. He's only 58% rostered. I feel like you will be able to get him on your fantasy team. He's probably available in waivers. I would definitely start him again tomorrow night up against the Seattle Kraken. Whether you're looking at shots on goal prop, whether you're looking at block props, 4, 0, 2. Okay, maybe stay away from the block props. He had 4 in his last game. I'm getting a little excited there. But regardless, he is someone that I would want to buy. 10.3, 0.2. That was a bad game against St. Louis. 18.5, 4.9, 18.5, 15.6, 12.5. Like, the production is there for this guy. So go out and get him. He should be rostered until he gives you a reason not to. Next couple of games, like I mentioned already. Next up, Seattle Kraken, Vancouver Canucks, Washington, Carolina. A lot of these games, 4 out of those 5 games are at home, and the Kraken are really bad, and they're playing that one on the road. So I would love starting him for any of those games. Definitely someone that you want to look at going forward. I do not have any. Well, actually, you know what? I do have some live betting. Excuse me. The game did start. The Toronto Maple Leafs game did start. Give me 1 second here. Let's jump in. I tried to start a little bit early tonight because I knew I wasn't going to have a co-host. Try to avoid the live betting because who am I going to ask? Myself. Exactly. Let's see here. Maple Leafs and Flyers. I'm not murdered yet. They just started the game. 19 minutes and 30 seconds left here. So we're just going to leave it at that. No questions or anything to pop off from the chat. So very quick episode, very brief, but that's not usually the case. Obviously, we'll have more for you guys next week. And Tuesday nights in general offer a much better card for hockey. There's typically more games, so that'll be something to look forward to as well. Obviously, I only had 3 games to go over tonight, but we got some winners for prep for you. Again, I love the Flyers on the +1.5. I love the Predators on the +1.5, and give me Minnesota on the money line. Be sure to smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on youtube.com/take it to the Hizzy. Take care, be well, have a happy rest of the week. Be good, and if you can't be good at it. Later, guys.